I'm Ian Miner. Welcome to Long Range University, where we help you on your journey to becoming the perfect shooter. In front of me is a rifle system that is capable of shooting accurately out to 1,000 yards and beyond. But in order to do that, we need a ballistic solution, which is essentially the numbers that I'm dialing onto the optic. The very best and fastest way to get that ballistic solution is through the ballistic calculator on the Revic Ops app. Earlier in this video series, we covered how to create a rifle profile in the app. Assuming you've already done that, we're going to open the app and we're going to click Ballistic Calculator. First thing I do is I look on the top left where it says 6.5 cm. If I click that drop-down arrow, it's going to give me my rifle library, and there you can see I've got a 6.5 Creedmoor and a 7mm. I'm going to click the 6.5 Creedmoor because that's the rifle I'm shooting today. It's essential that you go up there and check and make sure that you're on the right rifle. Right below that you have temperature, elevation, and if you jump to the right side you have humidity and pressure. Those are your atmospherics, which are getting pulled from the closest weather station. So again, you want to make sure that your location services are turned on while using the Revic Ops app. In the center there you have azimuth and angle. Azimuth again is just the direction you're shooting, and then angle is if you have any shooting angle. We're going to leave those at 0. We can talk a little bit more about those in a different video. Now about halfway down the screen you have elevation, and to the right of that you see windage. Those are what you're going to actually dial on your scope or hold. Below elevation on the left side there's range 100 yards. This is where you're going to type in the range that you're going to be shooting. So I'm going to type in 965. And then I'm going to hit done on the bottom right. There it calculated a ballistic solution for me. Okay, right up there where it says elevation. Now if I jump to the right where it says wind speed and wind direction, I can manually change those, but as soon as I manually change those, it's going to stop pulling data from the closest weather station, and the atmospherics and the wind is all manual for me. But I do want to do that because I'm pulling wind from right here, right now. I don't want to be taking it from the closest weather station. I want it in correlation to the direction I'm shooting. So wind speed, let's just say it's 5 miles an hour. And let's say it's from the 90 degrees or 3 o'clock. Now when I look up at the middle right where it says windage, the R stands for right, 1.7 minutes to the right. Halfway down those two bars in the center there is a little arrow. I'm going to click that arrow. It's going to give me a weather vane. I'm going to put my finger on that fingerprint and I can drag this weather vane clockwise or counterclockwise to choose the direction the wind's coming from. And I can also drag it in and out towards the arrow to give me wind speed. Okay, and then if I want to get out of that, I can just hit the X in the center there again. And I'm just going to manually input under wind speed, click and hit 5 miles an hour. And then wind direction, I'm going to boot it back over to 90 degrees. Now again, if I change the wind speed, the wind direction, or even if I jump up top and I want to change that temperature, elevation, humidity, or pressure, anytime I do that, it is no longer pulling those atmospherics from the closest weather station. Now it is manual. So I'm going to go to the top right where there's a settings or a gear tab there. And it says station manual. It was in the weather station where it was pulling from the closest weather station, but because I changed those, it's in manual. So I'm going to click the word manual and I'm going to click weather again. And that just brought it right back to using my location services. And it put the wind that's happening at the closest weather station, and it brought my temperature, elevation, humidity, and pressure back to whatever that closest weather station is reading. So anytime I go in and manually change stuff, it goes to manual. If I ever want to boot it back to pulling from the weather station, I go back up to the top right and I make sure that station is set to weather. Now this little side menu has a bunch of options here. Let's go through those real quick. Underneath station you have adjustment unit, that's MOA, you can switch it to mils. Underneath adjustment unit is unit, you can have yards or you can have meters. Then you've got wind direction, that's where you can change it from absolute to relative. And then that speed scale, 20 miles per hour. Okay, I'm just going to switch that to 40 and I'll show you what it does. If I swipe to the left now and I go back to my weather vane with that central arrow, I put my finger on the fingerprint and now I drag that wind speed in and out. It goes all the way up to 40 miles per hour. Where before that was set at 20 and I could only cap my wind out at 20 miles per hour. I'm going to go ahead and hit that X again to get me out of the weather vane, and I'm going to manually change the wind speed back to 5 miles an hour at 90 degrees or 3 o'clock. I'm going to go back up to the top right And because I messed with my wind speed, it changed it back to manual. I'm gonna switch it back to weather again. And I'm gonna go all the way back down to speed scale where it says 40 mile per hour. I can leave that. Earth, spin drift, and aero jump are all gonna have to do with external ballistics, which is a different video. For now, we're gonna turn all of those on so that we can get the most accurate ballistic solution possible. I'm gonna swipe to the left, and all that's left to do now is to dial that number onto the optic, and let's see if we can get first round impacts. So we got first round impact. Now you know how to use the ballistic calculator. Make sure you watch the rest of the videos on the Revic Ops series and get out and shoot.